Okay, group, Monday morning. I'm going to follow up on yesterday's introductory video with a couple more comments about where we're at in the discussion you just had, and I'm sure there's more questions about the project, so I thought I'd see if I could do this in a little bit of an expeditious fashion by talking to you. I'm sitting here in the middle of the campus on a nice, quiet, late Monday morning. Week after week and a half now after graduation, and it's pretty calm, so I think I can get away with this, or else people are going to just walk by and think that there's the old guy talking to himself again. He's really lost it by now. Okay, finished up reading everything that everybody talked about with Michael Porter and the Chapter 4 stuff and the competitive advantage, and see, for me, the arguments were fabulous. You guys did a really great job of really bringing out so many issues. People discussing different companies. How does Microsoft fit in this picture? How does Walmart fit in this picture? Some almost argumentative things about Walmart. And if you look at this week's material, when I talk about competitive edge, you're going to see some stuff that I've had to say about them and how that fits in. So it's going really great, and I really appreciate it. See, for me, the idea is when you come into Porter's 5 Forces model and the competitive advantage stuff and all that kind of things, is a couple of real key issues are control and response. Okay, what do you control? You control the internal issues. You control what you do. What do you respond to? You respond to the external. Which drives which? Kind of an interesting question. But I think what we were trying to illustrate for everybody is that you are now planning and operating in really what's an ever-changing environment. If you don't respond to that environment, the competitive pressures are out there that somebody else is responding to that argument. And that environment, excuse me. And my argument is, you know what? We have to remember that complacency is what's going to kill us. It's one of the reasons I argue sometimes against the whole idea of benchmarking and best practices. We'll say, boy, well, we're trying to get on a competitive edge. Let's go out and follow the best practices of the best people in the industry. Well, they may be best practices for them. Are they best practices for us? There's some literature out there now that really says it well, and in a policy book I was reading this week, for another purpose, where it just said, you know what, maybe what we have to understand is when we're looking at them, best practices are not necessarily best practices, they're good practices. Now we have to come along and see if we can do them for ourselves. So again, great job. I wanted to reinforce that for everyone. As I said in my intro video, I used Blackboard with a feature I've never used before to assign you to project groups. And I was going through it yesterday morning, and there it was, a button that says assign students to groups, put them in. I pushed the button, it seemed to do the job. So you should have been assigned to a project group on a purely random basis. If you don't like who you're with, blame Blackboard, don't blame me. That being said, if you guys could get back to me and let me know if it worked, I'd really appreciate that. All right, moving back into that group project. I gave you a kind of an overview in my intro comment and the announcement at the very beginning of the unit. Hopefully by now, maybe some of you have had a chance to glance at it, take a look and say, what is this all about? Well, it's really about strategy. It's really about taking a company from a situation that was totally unplanned. It's going to take in competitive pressures. It's going to take in internal capabilities or lack thereof. It's going to take in every bit of market knowledge that you have. It's going to take in some financial considerations. It's going to take in everything. And that's why this is kind of a wrap-up, a capstone project, if you will. And so a couple guidelines on it. As you go through it in this first week, I just want people to gain a grasp of the issues, a grasp of the overall situation. As we go into, say, next week and the weeks to follow, I will explain a bit more of what is expected in terms of an output. And an output meaning what kind of report, what kind of presentation, what kind of analysis do you need to do in order to make this project work. I want you to be thinking of it as a high-level project, though. Remember about a week ago when I had the competencies curve up and I said, this is where you'll be operating? That's why that was there in the beginning. You're operating up to that executive plane right now. You're consultants, but you're operating at a higher level, trying to work with an executive group to bring this business back literally from the ashes and decide if that's the right thing to do. So that's where you need to be working at this time. All right, high level. Are we going to bog ourselves down in details? I'll explain that more as we go along. The answer pretty much though is no. For instance, one of the things that I'm sure a lot of people will ask is, what do I have to do for financial analysis here? Well, guess what? Given the fact that we've only got about 6 weeks to do this, you're not going to have time to do a detailed financial analysis. So I will give you guidelines on what kind of order of magnitude of the kind of numbers that you'll have to include. Because there will be, obviously there are financial considerations here. What kind of market analysis? Depends on where you're going. What kind of HR policies? Depends on where you're going. The whole idea right now is to get a grasp of what was the situation before the fire, what is the situation now at the fire, and then what are you going to do to go forward. So everything is on the table. The only option, I am now going to make a pronouncement, the only option that is not open to you is taking the insurance money and running. Okay, I don't want to do that. Although in the real world you can see where that might have been an option. All right. But we are going to go forward with this project on the assumption that you're creating a going concern, and that the going concern is going to keep going, and it's going to be built on and come back in some form. That this is a live market, this is someplace you want to be working, someplace you want to be still participating in. So that's just a little follow-up on where we were yesterday. I think you're in for a very challenging, very rewarding experience with this. As I explain the reasons for my doing it this way, and this is going to be the chance where I say, please don't leave questions unasked. The unasked question is the one that's going to hurt you here. So that's where we want to go. Also hope you got a nice little view of our campus when it's not overrun with people. It's actually a pretty quiet place. Hopefully I'll get a lot of work done today. So thanks again. Get to me with the questions, okay? Thanks. Bye.